So one of the side jobs I have that goes along with running a channel like mine is archiving, specifically archiving old pieces of software, manuals, promotional materials, pretty much anything vintage technology related that's rather obscure or hard to find. And I'm certainly not alone in this. Pretty much every other vintage tech YouTuber that I watch does the same thing, which I think is great because as time goes on, these old floppy diskettes and manuals and whatever else only deteriorate more and more. So it's important to preserve this stuff, not only for historical purposes, but also to help other people who might need, for example, a driver or an instruction manual for a really old peripheral. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So about a year ago we explored this kind of bizarre but really cool accessory for classic Macs called the ThunderScan, which allows you to convert an image writer printer into a scanner. And unfortunately, this is something that I wasn't able to get working, but if you want to see kind of what went down there, I'll just leave the full video up in the cards for you to check out. But the reason why I bring it up today is because when I was unboxing the ThunderScan in that video, I briefly went through its original instruction manual. And turns out, this thing has not been archived yet. At least this version of it. There is a later revision that's over on archive.org, but I still want to archive this one just in case somebody finds it useful one day. And that's where this CZUR document scanner comes into play. Now, I was recently contacted by this company and they asked if I wanted to demonstrate one of their scanners on this channel. And normally I deny these requests because I get these emails every single week and 99% of the time the company wants me to review something that has no relevance to vintage technology whatsoever that you all probably wouldn't care about. But in this case, I could actually use this thing to improve my archival efforts because I currently use a regular flatbed scanner when I do this kind of stuff, which is not going to give you the best results if you scan in a book like this unless you want to unbind the entire thing and just scan each page individually, which I want to avoid doing at all costs because obviously that would damage this instruction manual. So scanners like this one are a lot more intuitive because you just lay the book flat on a table and flip through it to capture images of each page. And it also cuts down on the scanning time by a lot. Now, before we go any further, I just want to say that this video is not sponsored in any way by these people. They're not paying me to make this video at all, and they're not going to get to see this video before it goes public on the channel to like ask me to change stuff. They just sent me this in exchange for my honest opinion on it, and that's the only way that I would ever agree to do these kind of videos. So with all that out of the way, this model here is the ET16 Plus, and it sells for $429. So yeah, definitely up there compared to a regular flatbed scanner. And believe it or not, they actually get more expensive than that because this is the base model in the ET series. Though they do have a couple of more budget-friendly options if you don't really care about all the bells and whistles that this thing has. But let's go ahead and unbox it and I'll show you what you get. So right off the bat, let me just say that I really like the way this thing is packaged. I know this is something that most people could care less about, but I just like seeing the attention to detail and just the way something's presented. So CZUR did a pretty decent job at that here. Now, CZUR gives you a couple of different ways to capture photos of whatever document that you're scanning in. The piece of software that you download to use with this thing has both a button that you can click and an auto scanning function, but you also have this physical button here that you can set up on your desk, and you have this foot pedal that you can put underneath your desk, which is, you know, definitely useful if you prefer to do that. So they give you a couple of different options there, which is nice. Right here, you've got the power adapter, nothing super special, though you do have a couple of adapters if you were, you know, in a different country. Right here, you have the mat to roll out and put the document on. You've got a USB cable right here for connecting the thing to your computer, and you have a pair of finger cots for book scanning. And you use these when you're scanning in books to keep the book open to whatever page that you're currently trying to scan in. So there you go. We'll demo these in a moment once I get everything set up. You also, down here, have a side light that you can hook onto the scanner to, you know, give the document, whatever you're scanning in, a little bit more light, so definitely very useful. And then you have the scanner itself, which we'll take out here. And here it is. So setting this thing up is pretty self-explanatory. You've got all of your ports located on the back here. So you've got the USB port to plug in your button, the USB port to plug in the cable that goes to your computer, you've got your power port here and a switch. And on the top here, you've got some more controls. One of these is actually to take a photo, so you've got another button there, another way of doing that. And yeah, so you just take the mat here, you roll it out, and we'll just get the little rubber band off of it. I'm not actually going to set this thing up here, but I'll just kind of show you what you're supposed to do. So you roll out the mat, and then you put the document scanner kind of right in this little cutout here. And then you just take whatever document you want to scan and set it on the mat and get to work. So let's go ahead and actually set this thing up properly on my capture PC over here, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so I've got the scanner hooked up to my capture PC here, and this is what the software looks like. So you've got, you know, a image of what the scanner is seeing right now. There's also a screen right on top of the scanner. You can't see it right now, but you could, you know, just be looking at that instead of at the software, you know, if you had your computer off somewhere else. But it is ideal to be looking at the software, especially if you are using the facing pages mode to scan in books like this. Because what you do with this is you actually align the spine of the book to this dotted line here in the center, and you just flip through it and you keep the spine on that dotted line, and it will actually do curve correction, where it will try to eliminate the curve in the pages here and make the image a lot flatter, which is super nice, and it does a pretty good job at that. But you also have modes for, like, if you're just capturing a single page, like for example, this would be ideal for this insert, if I can find it here. Here it is. So this is a little tutorial image that is meant to be used with the ThunderScan to kind of get practice using it, you know, scanning stuff in using your image writer. So what you can do is just place it anywhere on the canvas here, and you can see it draws this box around it. And you can capture an image, like, you don't have to worry about it being upright in the proper orientation. You can have the thing curved like this. As long as it draws the box around it properly, you can take a photo of it and it will attempt to correct it to the proper orientation. I've done this a few times now, and it's always been able to crop the image and rotate it so that it's at the proper orientation, which is super nice. Now, you also have the combine sides mode and the manual selection, where you can just, you know, draw a selection box and then kind of, you know, rotate it if you need to. I think you can rotate it anyways. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think you can, so you would have to, you know, align the image like right to the top of the box there, and then just change the dimensions of it. One of the things I could actually see this being used for is if you had a page that had like some sort of black box or something towards the edge of the page, to where when you put it on here, the scanner was confusing it with the backdrop and not cropping the image properly. You would probably need to go into manual mode and just draw a box around the page so that you get the correct cropping and everything. But I've just been using the facing pages mode and the flat single page mode for the things that I've been scanning in here, and I went through and scanned this ThunderScan manual multiple times actually. And the reason I've done it multiple times is to test out different lighting conditions and try to get the best possible scan that I can. The other thing I was doing was getting used to using the finger cots, and to be honest, on my most recent scan run through with this booklet, I didn't really have to use the finger cots very much, just for the fact that this is a pretty thin manual. I mean, there's there's 60 pages in here, 60 numbered pages anyway, so like that's definitely a lot to read through. But when you compare it to something like this book here that's got hundreds of pages, it is actually able to stay relatively straight when you've got the book opened up. You can see when you get kind of towards the middle of the booklet here, that's when you'll kind of see like the page here on the left side kind of start propping up a little bit, to where you would want to take the finger cut and kind of just straighten it out a little bit. But you know, I would only have to do that on like one side. So like this page here on the right is totally fine, so I would just bring the finger cut over here and kind of flatten out the left side a little bit. But honestly, you could probably scan through this book and not even use the finger cots at all, but they do recommend it when you're scanning in, you know, stuff like this where you've got a lot of pages where, you know, like when I have this opened up, you know, like this is going to happen where it's just going to want to close on itself. So you're going to want to, at that point, take the finger cots and, you know, put them on the edges of the pages to get a proper scan. But one thing that I noticed that I'm not a huge fan of is it attempts to, you know, remove the finger cots from the image, but it doesn't always do a really good job at that. So let me show you here. I'll open up the PDF that I have of the Thunderscan. This was my first run through of it. If we get like right here, this is a perfect example. Let me zoom in here. You can see there's this pretty noticeable blob here on the left side of the image. That's from the finger cot. So it's able to remove that and kind of blend it in with the background, but it doesn't always do a good job at that. And this is a scenario where it doesn't, where you can still see it almost looks blue. Alright, hang on a second because I've made a discovery. So this is the other part of the software where you actually take a look at all the images that you've captured and where you can compile it into a PDF or a Word document or whatever. And I discovered that if you change the color mode from color to black and white, it does a much better job at hiding the finger cut outlines. You can see it's like not even there. Like I can't make it out at all. Now this Thunderscan manual is in black and white with the exception of the front and back cover pages, so we can do this just fine and do a batch job here. So we'll select all of these, go to color mode, and then select black and white, and we can change all those. But you see, I'm probably going to keep the front and rear covers, and I'll just set those back to color mode here. I did not discover this until after I finished filming this video, so I'm going to make a PDF with everything in color mode, but the PDF that I will actually upload to the Internet Archive is this one right here, because I think that it comes out much better. Although you can see, like, yeah, like this image doesn't show up as well, though. Like if I switch it back to color, like, yeah. So that's definitely something to be aware of. You know, you might make some, you know, sacrifice. Actually, I don't know now. Do I want to upload this in color mode or not? You know what? I think I'll just upload both of them. Why not? And you guys can decide which version that you want to download. But that is a great way of getting around the finger caught outline issue, and it would not be a problem at all with just software manuals and stuff that have only text in them. I tried to keep the finger caught as close to the edge as possible to where it was barely touching the page, and you know, that resulted in much less artifacting and all that, which is nice. And we'll go through kind of the process of converting the images that you scan into a PDF with OCR, because that's the other thing. This software supports OCR, which is super nice. So like I can do Control F here and search for something, and it will search the document, and you see, I mean, it does a pretty good job at recognizing text properly. There is also an auto scan functionality that you can enable by clicking this box right here, but I didn't really like that because it a couple times captured the image prematurely when like my hand was still turning the page. So, you know, you got like a couple images with my hand just like obscuring the entire page, which is not, you know, good at all. So I just disabled that and started using the foot pedal. So now what I want to do is just go through the process, and we'll just use this Understanding Telephone Electronics book just for this demonstration. I'm not going to scan this entire thing in right now, but we'll just flip here to like a random page, and we'll align the spine here with the dotted line in the center, and I will use the finger cots to kind of, you know, space things out a little bit here. I think that's pretty good, although you see this one here, I'm going to actually move this down towards the bottom because I've actually done this before. In fact, let me just show you what happens. So like if I put the finger cot over the bottom right corner of that box and I take an image, and let's open this one up, and I mean, yeah, you can see just got a massive blob there covering the box. Let's see how this one turned out. So I mean, yeah, much better because you're not actually obstructing anything. That's when you're using the finger cots, you definitely want to make sure that you're not covering like a piece of text or something, because that would suck. So what I'll do here is I'll recapture this page, and I'll bring the finger cot like way over here to where it's just barely touching the page, and we'll do the same thing here. So we'll do that, and oh look, it's way off. Let me Let me move the book to the center. This is the other reason why I don't like the auto scan, is because, you know, when you're flipping through pages and using the finger cots, the book tends to kind of like move around a little bit to where it's not exactly centered on. No, that's lovely. It's not exactly centered on with the dotted line there. So, you know, I just like to realign it each time, and then just, they actually recommend like bringing the finger cots from the center and kind of bringing it out to the edge of the pages. Yeah, that's a lot better. I mean, you can still see it there, but it's not as noticeable. Let's try this one here. Oh, this is really good. Look at that. You don't even really see it at all. I mean, I can like faintly see it there. But yeah, I mean, again, image quality is really not bad at all. I mean, you can see everything here. You can see this diagram. You can read everything. You see, if you zoom in like super close, stuff's going to look a little bit pixelated, but you can definitely read everything on the page. So that's an example of scanning in a page from a book. Now let's go back here to the other part of the software, which is where you can edit images and actually compile it into a PDF or a Word document or even an Excel document. You've got a few different options over here. First thing I'm going to do is delete the images that I just captured that are not a part of the ThunderScan capture that I did before I started recording, so we'll go ahead and delete those. Now, before we can compile anything, it is a good idea to go through and double check all these images and make sure there's no like cropping errors or anything like that. You could just not even do that and just compile a PDF right now. I like to go through and crop and get rid of, like you see, you've got these like edges here of where kind of the backdrop is showing through a little bit. You've got this one here where apparently it was way off. So what you can do is actually click on auxiliary correction here, and you can get, so this is the full image. You can see apparently I was way off on the center here. So I can actually adjust the central seams and just drag the center line, and we'll hit save, and then it will correct that. So there we go, that looks much better. Now when it comes to cropping, you can just mass crop all these images at the same time, which definitely speeds things up. And we're gonna do that here. Let me just check the first one. So with this first one here, I'm going to select it. I'm gonna crop this one manually because I'm gonna do a much larger crop on the left side here to get rid of all that space, and we'll maybe do a little bit on the right, and that will crop the image for us, so that looks a lot better. And let's go through and see if there's any other like major, you know, like this one here. I think we could probably get that just by doing a mass crop on everything, but nothing that I'm seeing that's as bad as the first page. Although let's check the very back spine. Yeah, the back spine. Okay, we're gonna definitely go here. We'll select this one, and we'll crop it, and we'll do the same thing. We'll just kind of get rid of that. Do a little bit on the left side. Confirm. And there we go. And now I'll select all of these minus this one, minus this one, and minus the first image here. And we'll go to crop. We're going to go ahead and select everything. And we're going to click on searchable PDF under export, and this will use OCR, so you want to make sure you choose the language that the document is in. Choose the file type. We're going to change the quality to high, and we'll keep it on auto adjustment, and we'll hit confirm, and then it will ask us to select a save location. I'm just going to call this ThunderScan 2.pdf, and there we go. We'll just let it do its thing. And here it is. So this will be linked down below if anybody's been trying to find this manual. And, oh, well, I guess that, yes, some of these pages are not actually the same size, which makes sense because, yeah, when it captures the image of the pages, they're not always going to be exactly the same size. So that's what happened here. I did kind of think that using the mass cropping feature was going to keep all the pages the same size, but no, because they weren't the same size to begin with. So, but yeah, I mean, it's here, and you can search through it. So, I mean, we can type out the word Mac, and there it is. But yeah, that is a demonstration of the CZUR ET16 Plus and the accompanying software used to scan stuff in. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, all that good stuff. And if you really enjoyed this video, and if you want to get early access to my future episodes, I do have a Patreon down below that you can check out. But either way, I just want to thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank CZUR for sending me this so I could make this video. And as always, I will see you all in the next video.